Hold on a second. Before diving into this eye-opening cosmic information, click on subscribe and activate the notifications bell. That way, you won't miss anything that's coming. Your future can drastically change after what you'll learn today, so stay until the end and get ready to experience a true transformation. Share this video with those who also need to hear this urgent message. The portal that opens. Have you ever felt that something very important is about to happen, even though you can't fully explain it? Maybe you've noticed a kind of anxiety in the air, sleepless nights, vivid dreams, or a strange mix of emotions that baffles you. It's not mere coincidence. We're about to cross a cosmic threshold of extraordinary proportions that could largely determine the course of our next few months, or even years. Right now, planetary forces are aligning in a peculiar way. Everything, absolutely everything, revolves around one urgent astronomical event: the eclipse corridor that begins at the end of March and intensifies in the first week of April. For many ancient cultures, these configurations were not mere celestial accidents, but clear messages, cosmic doors that open to transform our present and prepare the future. The question that arises is, are we ready to understand what the universe is telling us? In the coming pages, we'll explore these phenomena in depth, their influence on our body, mind, and heart, and how we can harness these energies. Stay until the end because what you'll discover here will give you the keys to navigate, with wisdom and determination, one of the year's most intense periods. Why this moment is so important. If you've been feeling a mix of expectation and confusion, you're not alone. Many people have reported heightened emotions, lucid dreams that seem premonitory, or simply a strong intuition that something big is about to happen. These symptoms are not the result of chance. Eclipses are cycles in which the Earth, the Moon, and the Sun align precisely, generating peaks of energy that affect nature and the human psyche. During this season, the Moon becomes the protagonist of emotional changes. In just 15 days, we have the combination of a lunar eclipse and a solar eclipse that, added to the closeness of other crucial planetary transits, form a sort of energetic portal. According to the beliefs of various ancestral cultures, these portals can provide exceptional opportunities to transcend old patterns and connect with higher realities. What you and I must know is that this period does not go unnoticed. It brings possibilities for personal and collective transformation, but it also demands awareness and courage to face the upheavals it may generate. It's like a huge wave that, if we know how to surf it, will take us to new shores full of opportunity. If we resist or ignore the signs, we could become trapped in turbulence that complicates our present. The alignment of the Moon and Jupiter. The first major energy peak arrives on April 3rd, when the Moon and Jupiter find themselves in conjunction, acting like a cosmic amplifier. Jupiter, the giant of the solar system, magnifies everything it touches. Imagine your emotions, ideas, and longings multiplying exponentially. If you've been feeling sadness or doubt, they could grow to a breaking point. But the most interesting part is that if your heart harbors inspiring dreams or projects, they can also skyrocket to a new level of clarity and momentum. In traditional astrology, Jupiter is associated with expansion, wisdom, and the search for meaning. Under its influence, your existential questions become more pressing. What purpose am I pursuing? How far do I want to go on my personal and professional path? What truly ignites the deepest part of my being? It's not uncommon that during these dates, creative ideas strike like lightning bolts. You feel sudden impulses to change your routine, or a need to express what once seemed inexpressible. The key to getting through this conjunction is awareness. Understand that everything flowing inside you is being amplified. Don't blame the cosmos for the intensity you feel. Instead, recognize that vertigo as an incentive to observe yourself more honestly and make decisions aligned with your true self. Mars and the emotional tension of April 5th. If the union with Jupiter expands and ignites your emotions, the tension between the Moon and Mars on April 5th adds a spark of conflict. Mars, the archetype of the warrior, represents action, drive, and sometimes anger. When it opposes or creates tension with the Moon, which rules our deepest emotions, internal and external confrontations can arise that can no longer be postponed. All of a sudden, you may find yourself caught up in pending arguments, crucial decisions you've been putting off, or the sense that something must change immediately. This friction is not necessarily negative. It's the push the universe gives you so that you stop ignoring areas of your life requiring decisive action. Mars asks you for the courage to confront and release, even if that implies risk. Instead of fearing this energy, use it to your advantage. When you feel anger or tension rising, look at what's underneath. Maybe you'll discover that behind the frustration lies a desire for freedom or a need for respect that you haven't communicated. The intensity of these days can be a golden opportunity to be honest, establish clear boundaries, or even reconcile with someone who is important in your life. Don't fear confrontation if there's a seed of truth and healing in it. Between eclipses, the dizziness of the new. We find ourselves in a sort of energetic corridor that runs from one lunar eclipse to the next solar eclipse. This period, lasting barely about 2 weeks, feels like a tunnel in which reality seems to accelerate. By April 1st, that energy will be at its critical point, and each one of us will experience it in our own way. Have you been feeling anxious or having unexplained insomnia? These are signs of the bombardment of energies your emotional system is receiving. The Moon, with its influence on tides and fertility cycles, doesn't just move oceans, it also moves your inner world. Between eclipses, the emotional tide rises, bringing to the surface memories, insights, fears, and visions that normally lie dormant. In this state of apparent chaos, the best strategy is to surrender to the process with awareness. Don't try to suppress what surfaces in your mind. Instead, ask your emotions what they are trying to show you. Sometimes, when we dare to dive into these turbulent waters, we find answers to questions we didn't even know we had. The importance of dreams and synchronicities. During this energetic corridor, it's common for your dreams to become more vivid or strange. It's as if the subconscious takes advantage of the open door to communicate more clearly. Dreaming about relatives, distant places, or symbolic events can give us clues about hidden concerns, latent talents, or conflicts that need resolution. In addition to dreams, pay attention to so-called coincidences or synchronicities, which may multiply. Perhaps you think of someone and suddenly that person contacts you. Or maybe you repeatedly see the same number on clocks, license plates, or receipts. These are signs that your energy is in sync with something bigger, and the universe is sending you messages. By recording your dreams and interpreting synchronicities, you'll discover a symbolic language that could lead you to crucial revelations. Don't underestimate these small hints. During eclipse season, what seems insignificant can be the piece that completes the puzzle of your life. The legacy of the Pleiades. For various ancient cultures, Mayans, Egyptians, Australian indigenous peoples, among others, the Pleiades have been a beacon of wisdom and spiritual guidance. In this first week of April, while the Moon performs its dance with other celestial bodies, Pleiadian energy becomes more accessible to those open to receiving it. The Pleiades are often considered a gateway to higher dimensions of consciousness. Many people describe experiences of connection with their ancestors or a spiritual lineage when they meditate looking at this star cluster. From an astrological perspective, contact with the Pleiades heightens our ability to perceive the subtle and the spiritual. It's no coincidence that, in the midst of the hustle and bustle between eclipses, you may feel called toward the transcendent. If you feel drawn to research the Pleiades or experience a special affinity when you gaze at the stars, This could be the right time to deepen your mystical heritage and open yourself to the teachings your ancestors have left you. Healing lineages and family patterns. With ancestral energy so active, it's possible that family issues you thought were resolved come to light. Maybe a conflict with your parents reemerges, or you discover a behavioral pattern repeating itself generation after generation. These revelations aren't meant to torment you, but to give you the chance to break cycles that have been repeating for decades or centuries. Sometimes, the way to heal family history isn't to blame those who came before us, but to honor their experience and make a different decision. This cosmic period offers a window to cut ties with those legacies that don't belong to you, that limit your freedom or well-being. You can do a symbolic exercise. Write down on a piece of paper what you recognize as a toxic family pattern, for example, violence, silence, emotional dependence. Then burn it or bury it, consciously asking for the dissolution of that cycle. By freeing yourself from these burdens, not only do you benefit yourself, but you also benefit your entire family line, including your future descendants. The cosmic force of the Pleiades and the Moon can be the perfect catalyst for collective liberation. The power of April 3rd. We reach a critical point in our narrative. On April 3rd, the Moon-Jupiter conjunction unleashes energies to almost unimaginable levels. If you've already noticed shifts in your mood or vitality, this day can be a peak of intensity. Everything you feel is magnified. You'll sense a desire to act, to undertake, to say what you think without filters. But remember, awareness is your most loyal ally. If you let yourself be carried away by impulsivity, you might rush into arguments or breakups you later regret. However, if you channel Jupiter's expansive force constructively, you'll have the perfect energy to launch projects, make key decisions, and assume your power as the creator of your reality. Around this date, keep your mind open and your heart alert. Opportunities you never imagined might appear, or you may find creative solutions to problems you've been carrying for a while. That's how powerful Jupiter is when it aligns with the Moon. Turning crisis into opportunity. The word crisis comes from the Greek and means decision or sudden change. This period, in which lunar, solar, and planetary forces converge, often generates personal crises. However, these crises are not punishments from destiny, but rather spaces in which new versions of ourselves can be born. The secret to making the most of them is not to resist the messages. When something in your life cracks during these dates, ask yourself, what opportunity is opening up for my growth? It could be the end of a stagnant relationship, the arrival of a new job, or an awakening regarding your physical and emotional health. Harness the influence of the Moon-Jupiter conjunction to remember that, in every shake-up, there is a valuable core of learning. Even if you feel fear or vertigo in the face of the unknown, the reward for crossing this energetic corridor with courage is enormous. You might discover internal resources you didn't know you had, and above all, awaken parts of yourself that have been knocking on the door for a long time. Getting ready for April 5th. Barely 2 days after the great Jupiterian expansion, Mars enters into tension with the Moon on April 5th. This is a configuration known for intensifying emotions to a boiling point. Remember, it's not about creating chaos for chaos's sake, but about showing you where you need to act decisively. If you've been feeling a latent anger, it will likely find a way out in heated arguments or impulsive actions. Don't fear conflict, but handle it with emotional intelligence. Reflect before speaking, identify the real trigger for your anger, and ask yourself what change you're delaying. Sometimes, the Moon-Mars tension is the final call to take risks and break inertia. If you do it consciously, you can transform an explosive confrontation into a healing release. When the body speaks. All these celestial movements affect our energetic state, and the body is our most faithful censor. Headaches, insomnia, palpitations, or a sense of exhaustion may indicate that your system is trying to assimilate the intensity of the environment. In these days, pay special attention to your rest, nutrition, and hydration. Your body isn't a machine disconnected from your spirit. It's an ally that informs you about your resistances and blockages. Practicing gentle exercise, yoga, meditation, or walking outdoors can help you drain tension and maintain an internal balance. Listen to each symptom as if it were a message. Sometimes illness or discomfort comes to remind us that we need to stop, let go of control, and pay attention to what we're ignoring on an emotional level. The days following the eclipse. When the solar eclipse passes, it doesn't mean everything is over. On the contrary, the energetic influence lasts for days, even weeks. You may feel a deep weariness, as if you've run an emotional marathon. Try not to overload yourself with commitments during these days. Allow yourself moments of silence to integrate internal changes. This post-eclipse period is like the ripples that form after throwing a stone into a lake. The stone, the astronomical event, has already fallen, but the waves continue to expand. You might find yourself re-evaluating recent decisions or feeling emotions you haven't processed. Give yourself time and, above all, avoid judging your emotional ups and downs. It's natural to feel unsteady after crossing such a powerful energetic threshold. The value of conscious observation. One of the most powerful habits you can adopt at this time is conscious observation. It means watching your thoughts and reactions without completely identifying with them, as though you were an inner witness. This habit allows you to respond instead of react. When you feel waves of anger, sadness, or euphoria, take a deep breath and observe the process. Ask yourself what's behind that emotion. Is it fear, a longing for freedom, or exhaustion? That moment of self-observation ensures the energy doesn't sweep you away. You'll see that, by becoming an observer, many arguments diffuse, judgments fade, and the mind clears. This simple exercise in presence can make the difference between an impulsive outburst and a mature action. Dialogue and assertive communication. During high-energy periods, misunderstandings in communication multiply. That's why it's vital to practice assertiveness when speaking and listening. Express what you feel, but avoid imposing it as an absolute truth. Make room for the other person's perspective. Remember, we're all navigating an intense emotional wave, and if we're not careful, we can hurt each other without meaning to. Assertive communication isn't just a psychological tip. It's a resource that connects you to the energy of cooperation and balance. With eclipses activating the Aries-Libra axis, me versus us, practicing empathy when talking helps you avoid breaking important bonds over minor conflicts. When you express your emotions, do so responsibly, taking ownership of what is yours and avoiding blaming others for how you feel. The key is in the intention. Why do we say this period is magical and transcendental? Because eclipses work like a magnifying glass that intensifies our intentions. If your motivation is to run away from an uncomfortable reality, you'll likely encounter more resistance. But if what you want is to evolve, heal, and grow, you'll see doors open before you. For many, these days are ideal for simple but profound rituals. For example, you can light a white candle and sit down to meditate or write down your goals. Visualize how you'd like to feel or the outcomes you desire in your life. Hold that intention with genuine faith. Let the flame represent your commitment to the change you're ready to embrace. You don't need grand ceremonies. Sometimes something as simple as taking a few minutes to close your eyes and connect with your breath can produce surprising effects, especially when the cosmos is lending its energetic support. Staying the course. There will come a time when you might wonder if all this effort is worth it, or if you should just let everything pass without further ado. However, The changes this period brings won't stop just because of human will. You can resist them, but that will only cause tension to build up and manifest chaotically. Flowing with transformation is wiser. Every time you feel like giving up, lowering your arms, and returning to old routines, remember the purpose that brought you here. Maybe you want to heal a relationship, find your life's purpose, start an ambitious project, or simply feel good about yourself. Whatever your goal, don't lose sight of it when obstacles appear. Great changes demand perseverance. And this April, loaded with cosmic events, is fertile ground for growing that perseverance within you. The collective awakening. Don't underestimate the collective dimension of these planetary transits. Just as you are going through a process, millions of people around the planet also feel the pressure and the opportunities for change. You may notice social movements, heated debates on social media, or shocking news that reflect a search for justice and truth. The Aries-Libra energy manifests on a global scale when people start demanding balance and respect for human dignity. Although you can't control what happens out there, remember that your personal vibration contributes to the collective consciousness. Working on your own internal balance is an act that resonates with those around you. If more individuals decide to heal and transform their old patterns, we'll be collaborating in creating a more awakened and compassionate world. April as a restart portal. Some astrologers and mystics refer to this month of April as a restart portal. This is because planetary configurations combine fire energy, Aries, with water aspects, Cancer, Pisces, and the expansive power of Jupiter, creating a mix that dissolves obsolete structures to allow for the construction of something new. Think of April as a blank book in which you can rewrite certain chapters of your life. Maybe you'll be inspired to pick up an abandoned dream, start a project you once thought impossible, leave behind self-destructive habits, or even move to a new city or country. Anything that touches your longing for freedom and authenticity will be amplified. The key lies in honesty with yourself. When your decisions come from your inner truth, universal synchronicity often aligns in your favor. The door of April 6th. After the storm of energy that April 3rd and 5th bring, April 6th can feel like a brief oasis, a moment of relative calm. However, don't mistake this pause for the end of the process. Often, the universe gives us a break just before the next wave of transformation. On this day, you might receive clear messages through dreams or encounters that at first glance seem casual. It's a day to be more alert than ever, because answers might come in the form of random phrases from strangers, visual signs, or sudden intuitions. Many describe it as a prophetic day, where the invisible voices of the universe speak more clearly to those who know how to listen. How to make the most of the universe's signs. At this time, signs multiply. Songs that play at the exact moment you need them, animals that appear repeatedly, numbers that keep showing up on clocks or paperwork, people you run into after years for no apparent reason. They're not mere coincidences. They're encoded messages. The best way to interpret them is to pay attention to your feelings whenever something unexpectedly catches your attention. For example, if you get goosebumps when you hear a particular phrase, if your heart beats faster when faced with a certain idea, or if an intuitive click tells you something fits, take note. Your rational mind might dismiss it as a minor detail, but your higher senses know how to spot a real sign. Over time, you'll see that by weaving these signs together, you'll unveil a map of your destiny. Between reason and the heart. We've been taught to live in a dichotomy, the rational versus the emotional. However, during these weeks, you'll see how both aspects need to work together so that your life flows in balance. Reason helps you analyze situations, plan strategies, and communicate precisely. The heart, on the other hand, connects you with passion, intuition, and empathy. Without that spark, life becomes mechanical and meaningless. When you feel your mind and emotions are in conflict, don't choose one side. Return to your inner center, where both energies reconcile. Maybe logic tells you not to take risks, but your heart longs to take a leap of faith or vice versa. These eclipse weeks may confront you with multiple dilemmas where you must find a balance. Remember that truth often resides in a middle ground where your mind and spirit recognize each other. Rewriting your personal story. Amid so much changing energy, you have the opportunity to rewrite key chapters of your life story. You can reshape your inner narrative about who you are, what you're capable of, and how you relate to others. Never underestimate the power of telling your story differently, acknowledging your lessons, and granting yourself compassion. If you've been carrying guilt or old fears, now is the time to let them go. You can mentally talk to your past self, thank that version of you for surviving hard experiences, and explain that you've now gained the strength needed to heal and move forward. It's an internal exercise that, while symbolic, creates real shifts in your emotional state. The energetic corridor between eclipses opens the possibility of reconfiguring your identity in a more conscious way. The urgency of acting before tomorrow. Here we arrive at the core urgency. What you do before tomorrow, in this critical window, could make all the difference in the coming months. Some will call it destiny. Others will say it's the power of intention. The fact is that we find ourselves in a portal of amplified free will. Every choice, no matter how small, resonates more strongly in the fabric of reality. You don't need epic feats. Sometimes the most courageous act is deciding to forgive, letting go of a toxic relationship, seeking professional help, or taking the first step on a project that has always frightened you. If you feel the inner call to move forward, don't wait until everything is perfect. The eclipse is here to remind you that perfection doesn't exist, but transformation does. Urgency doesn't mean haste. It's about recognizing that the time is now, that the cosmos is aligned to support your decisions, and that postponing the inevitable only prolongs the agony or stagnation. Let the overwhelming force of the eclipse be your fuel to cross the threshold of your own barriers. The closure that marks a new beginning. You've reached the final page of this extensive narrative journey, but your story is just beginning. You've discovered that these days are not a mere astronomical event, but a genuine cry from the universe for you to wake up and take a leading role in your life's evolution and, by extension, in the evolution of humanity as a whole. The message is clear. If you're receiving this information, it's not by chance. The lunar urgency calls you to act, to reflect, and to trust in your inner power to co-create a reality that's more authentic and more aligned with your heart's deepest rhythm. Remember that every crisis can be a bridge to a higher state of consciousness if that's what you choose. Now it's your turn to decide. The cosmos has reached out its hand, showing you what could happen if you cross that door which won't open with the same force again. End this script knowing that with each breath, you hold the power to change your story. Make this April an unforgettable month in which you dare to become the person you know in your soul you're meant to be. If this message resonates with you, share it with those who need to hear it. Let these pages be a beacon for many who, like you, feel the moon's vibration and the clamor of the stars calling them to awaken. Thank you for joining me on this cosmic journey. I wish you clarity, courage, and the joy of a new beginning. Thank you for staying with me to this point. Now you carry a powerful guide to face these intense cosmic movements. Let the energy of the moon, the eclipses, and all planetary alignments propel you to live with more authenticity and courage. If this content resonated with you, please give me a like, and most of all, share it with someone who needs a boost of light on their path. Remember, every decision you make can light a new destiny. Keep your gaze on the stars, but don't forget to keep your feet firmly on Earth. See you soon in the next video.